Patriarchy evolves. It is not static, okay? It evolves, and that's why it has lasted for this long. And I feel in that sense, any movement against it, any movement that seeks to destroy it, to overturn it, would also have to evolve in its principles, theories, ideologies, Basically, as quickly as patriarchy is evolving, I feel like that is the way feminist movement has to evolve. Hello, happy new year, welcome back to my channel. My name is King and I'm here to talk about an issue that I feel something for. So we're going to talk about it today. So this is not my neck of the woods. I don't really pay attention to Real Housewives drama. Sometimes I catch clips of it and I try to follow it, but I don't have access to the shows. It's on some kind of channel that is not available for me here. But anyways, I used to follow some gist, and this particular housewife, her issue came up on as I was scrolling through TikTok, and I saw somebody's commentary on it, and I was like, okay, this is interesting to me and I want to talk about it because funnily enough, this past weekend I just completed this book I got recently, this same weekend. Yeah, that's what book is Chimere, and the themes of this book, the central theme of this book is basically a fictionalized version of this issue that this particular housewife is going through. This housewife, her name is Wendy Osefo, and she's married, she has children, she has a mother in her life, and that mother is part of the cast, I think. I don't think she's principal cast, but she's in the show basically. And in this clip that I watched on TikTok that this creator was commenting on, it was like a very big blow up between mother and daughter concerning like a deadbeat dad. Basically, she might not appreciate me calling her dad deadbeat, but that's what he is. The conversation, the argument, the blow up was because Wendy, the daughter, a grown woman that has her own children, that is married, yeah, and is doing well for herself. She's thriving as far as I can see. She went all the way to Nigeria to look for her dad, yeah. But like, this dad is not something that was hidden from her. This dad is not a person that some unavoidable circumstance separated him from her. This dad was somebody that willingly walked away from his wife and his responsibility towards her as his child. Okay, if you have issues with your wife or with your partner, nobody's saying you should not walk away. What about your responsibility to your children? Wendy's mom was angry, heated, blowing up, and like, do you know all I had to do to care for you? This man left me alone. I had to do all of this myself, raise you myself. You understand? And now for you to go and go out of your way to search for this man, and not just search for him, you want to introduce your children into his life.
He was just a freaking sperm donor.
Well, y'all were married, so I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair for you to say he was a sperm donor.
He did not help me or take care of you guys or even turn back to see how anybody is doing.
Can you give me one
That's
second?
why I gave him the title.
Hold on 1 second.
Don't do that to me.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah, but don't do that. The person that she is speaking of is also those kids' grandfather.
It's just funny to me how all of a sudden we're now protecting the image of their
Can you
grandfather.
imagine? Grandfather who has not seen their grandchildren. First time they flew across the world to go see this guy, and he never showed up.
Like, now you're crying and you're doing too much because you want to have your moment. I'm just so upset. Like, you guys always do this to me.
Shut up.
You guys always do this to me.
Shut the up.
You guys always.
Let me tell you why I'm so hot. They don't give a right about this girl.
So in this story, yeah, I hope my mic is working. In this story, this main character, Chimere, her name is Chimere, yeah. She was also abandoned by her dad even before she was born because the man refused to take responsibility for impregnating an 18-year-old girl. Okay, he ran away from her because she was not going to advance his career, and he rejected and denied her and left her up to public scorning. This was way back in post-colonial Nigeria. Okay. And this woman had to suffer through the horrors of society's punishment on women in general. Then punishment for single mothers is a very different kind of punishment the patriarchy nets out to single mothers. But she was helped along her way by another woman, after being abandoned by an auntie that was supposed to be a guardian in her life. Okay, she was shamed by the auntie and thrown out, but somebody else, another woman, came along and helped her. No man helped her. Not a single man stepped up to help this woman. No man saved her. Okay, there's no romance in the real world. There's no romance in the books for a woman that has been thrown out, okay, in this manner from society. But anyways, this woman, picks up herself, not easily, because they still live like poverty lines. Okay, they are very, very poor in this book. So Chimere is the daughter she gave birth to, and Chimere watched her mother, struggle and do her best to educate her, to feed her, to provide for her, and send her off to university, a federal university. Okay, Chimere now started getting some kind of real life stigma for being a child without a father, which is something that is very interesting, illogical. When you think about the way the patriarchy operates, think about the way toxic masculinity exists in our societies, and the way women are oppressed, okay, within the same society. So imagine somebody rejecting his own child, and then he gets to marry another woman and live out his dreams of self-actualization, while the person that was abandoned, the child that has no say in this, okay, they were just brought into this world, they did not consent to any of that. They came into this world and they are now being punished for the actions, as if the man being an irresponsible deadbeat idiot is the child's fault. And we as a collective species, we normalize it. We see it as, oh, okay. And normalizing does not necessarily mean accepting it. Normalizing could just mean we feel as if there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, we feel as if, well, maybe next time we'll be more careful in the future. We feel as if there's no way we can make this man, the offender, be punished for his actions, okay, for abandonment and all of that. When you read this book, you see the daughter spell out in graphic details how torturous it is for her mother anytime she brings up the issue of her father, because of the incessant discrimination she faces in society. That is the daughter. She has to go back to her mother and demand answers about her father. Okay, these two people never got married. Okay, but the real life case we're talking about, Wendy's mom, I think she was married to the man, and that the man just walked away from everything. But this one, they never got married. Either ways, the two women suffered greatly. Okay, and this is even just fictionalized there, but there's great details in writing out the suffering that this woman still goes through because of what happened to her so many years ago. But anyways, this is very hard for the daughter to empathize with. Okay, she has sympathy for her mother, but she cannot empathize with her because she is searching for an identity inside of what? Validation from a man, and the man just happens to be her father. So we kind of say, okay, that's okay. It's okay for you to seek for validation from your father. That's your father. But what is the context of this man being a father, and what does being a father even mean in a system that has pushed out this failure of a family system called the nuclear family? What does being a father mean?
This is another form of male-centered, male validation seeking that is not talked about enough. And that is grown women not wanting to acknowledge the fact that their own fathers do not give a fuck about them. The same man who wouldn't even spit on them if they're on fire. The so-called father that abandoned you as a child and made your mother struggle, left her destitute, and instead of acknowledging that your father does not care about you, you would rather seek his validation and traumatize your own children. Your mother spilled the beans. Your father has not met his grandchildren. Your children flew out across the world to meet him, and he couldn't even show up for them. He did not even show up to see them. In this 4-minute argument between her and her mother, the mother said, I left my job, I stopped my life to raise your kids. Yet you are putting the man that abandoned us all on a pedestal above me. Why don't you go and call your father and ask him to stop his life to raise your children? But you won't do that, right? Stop extracting labor from the women in your village while you are worshiping the same men who will set that village on fire. I understand this mother's rage. And the kicker of all this is that she's having this argument in front of her husband, and all you're teaching your husband is that he can treat you however he can and abandon his children because he married you. Because that was her argument in the beginning. My father's not a donor because he married you, Mom. Is that all it takes now, ladies? A man giving you a ring and then he can treat you however he wants and it's okay? If only women had that same grace. This is a new form of male-centeredness, pick-me behavior that is generational because you are putting your children actively through the same trauma that you experienced. The abandonment and discard from a male figure in their life.
This woman is pissed. I mean, Wendy's mother, she is so pissed. She's screaming at her daughter. She's shutting her up. She's shutting her down. She's throwing it at her face about how Wendy even tried to make an attempt to see this man, traveled all the way to Nigeria. And I've already spoken about how dangerous it is for diaspora Nigerians to come back to Nigeria without realizing there's a certain way you have to behave when you're in Nigeria, yeah, so that you can actually survive. It's not because somebody wants you to be respectful or humble. No, it's so that you will just survive. Yeah, she did all of that. She took her children to go and meet this man. This man stood her up. Okay, the man did not show up, and that is actually very consistent with his character. Very consistent. And I feel like if that since that happened, she needed to come back and have this conversation with her mother that, oh my God, okay, I know it's hard for us to tell our parents in that sense that, oh, you were right, because we are young, you know, we feel we know it all, and obviously we should have our own voices concerning the things we do with our lives. But at some point in time, in situations like this, where this specific type of situation, there's nothing wrong with you coming back and validating your mother's, you know, feelings and telling her first of all that, oh, you were right, this man is a piece of shit, but somehow I still feel I need him in my life, and I don't know why I need him in my life. You know, maybe I need to work this out with my therapist. Why do I need the presence of somebody who will never show up for me, you know, in the way that I need, who will never validate me in the way that I need, who has made you suffer so much, you know, you who I care about suffer so much, you know, why do I still persist in desiring his validation, his presence in my life? You understand? And she doesn't need this man to give her money anymore. They are no longer poor. I think they are doing well for themselves. Okay, they are on a TV show, okay, an American TV show. They are doing well for themselves, coming from her mother's background as a Nigerian, a Nigerian single mother. See, if you look, I don't know if we have statistics to show, you know, the status, the way the life of a single mother goes in this country, but from my own personal, you know, lived experiences, the things I've seen from single mothers about their lives is just horrid. It's not something that, you know, you can speak about without feeling immense pain in your heart for them. But anyways, this, instead of sitting down with her mom and going through the feelings, the heartbreak of it, it turns into a fight. Why? Because she doesn't want to validate her mother's stance on how her father is a deadbeat, because she doesn't want to question why she needs a man's validation, even if he is her father. There are people that have present fathers and they still don't get any sort of validation from them. There are people that grew up with both parents and they end up more twisted and sicker due to the injuries, the mental injuries their parents, especially the fathers, inflicted upon their lives. You see that in all of the men in society today. Most of them, almost all of the men are like, the horrid nature you see from a man is what his father inflicted upon him, and his choice to persist in that because he doesn't want to question his issues. But we're not talking about men now, we're talking about women seeking male validation in the sense of, in the form of father figures. There are so many stereotypes abounding, like then they say things like, oh, fatherless behavior, meaning a woman that cannot sit down in one place, like a woman that cannot keep, you know, her home together because she never had a father to show her how, or she never had a father, the influence of a father in her life. In this book, you see how Chimere literally fears to connect with another man because despite the man being, you know, wonderful and angelic, because she fears that her status as an illegitimate child, okay, would deny her, would disqualify her from the pleasures of connection and romantic relationships here. Even though society has grown hard to seek and aspire to what marriage. Okay, the same society that is grooming millions of girls around the world the minute they are born, socializing them to seek marriage, to seek romantic relationships with a man. That same society does not provide panacea solutions for women that have been rejected and abandoned by their primary male figures in their life, and how they can heal from such abandonment, from such hurt. Okay, how can they reconcile being hurt by the first man in their lives, okay, the first male figures in their lives, and then persisting in some sort of dissonance upstairs, mental cognitive dissonance upstairs, to still seek after a man for a partner, for romance, for love, for relationships? Here, there is no logic in the patriarchy. There's nothing logical about the patriarchy. Even the men are being oppressed by the patriarchy. I like to even think that the patriarchy is agender, the patriarchy is gender non-conforming. Everybody will suffer under the patriarchy. It doesn't matter even if you're a man. The men that uphold the system are still the greatest, losers. Yes, they're the greatest losers. Most of them never find connection in this life. Most of them end up behind bars because of how much dissonance they have to persist in just to uphold the patriarchy. Yeah. So because Wendy does not want to search, I don't want to make it that internal, but I feel like Wendy does not want to make that internal search for why she needs this figure in her. I don't know what she's going to write now. Okay, so for now I'm just going to comment on the relationship, the small snippet I can see from their relationship, that's mother-daughter relationship here, relationship between Wendy and her mother. And I'm not using this as a reason for why, maybe why Wendy is searching for her father now at this age of where she's established and she has her own children, she has her own husband and all of that. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but I feel like it might contribute to the conversation. Okay, so from the way I see, the way I watched the both of them, confront each other in this moment, in that small clip, I can piece together that Wendy does not see her mom as a safe space to confide in. Okay, and when I mean confiding with things like this desire for her father in her life. Okay, and I will say that I don't blame entirely her mother for resisting any form of conversation about the man, because it's obvious she has not healed or gotten over the horrors that she had to endure to raise a child in this God-forsaken country called Nigeria. Okay, so I don't think she can begin to even detail out the horrors in its entirety of what she had to go through to get to where she was in life, and then having to now stop her career, stop her ambitions to take care of her daughter's children, so her daughter can have a say in society, so her daughter can stand tall in society, so her daughter will not be held back by children. Okay, the way she was, she had to do it as a mother, she had to do it as a grandmother. That's horrific, that's terrible. And of course she's not going to be open to speaking to her daughter, who she resents. Obviously, it's so obvious, it feels so obvious. Maybe this is just my opinion, okay, this is just my comment. I feel like Wendy's mother resents her so freaking much, and there's no amount of money or lavish living that is going to make her get back her youth, get back the life that was taken away from her, or the life that she gave away on behalf of her daughter. And that is why from my earlier point in the video, feminism as a movement needs to evolve. We need to evolve as a people, as a demographic. We need to evolve. Our movement, our theories have to evolve. Why would she do her best to raise her child, and then she cannot still live her life as she wanted because she has to take care of her daughter's children? And if you see the culture in Nigeria, that's how Nigerian mothers are. They grow up, they're socialized from birth to as well as married. They marry, the men are a piece of shit even if they're in the marriage, and then they put all their hopes and desires on their children, and the children fulfill those hopes and desires, and now it's like, okay, give me grandchildren. Yeah, okay. And these women now end up as grandchildren, and they feel some certain level, they feel like that's a sign of success. And that generation that Wendy's mom belongs to, I feel like that's the generation of my own mom. So I know that most of my friends like were in that generation. Yeah, so our parents, our mothers are in that generation where a sign of success for them a sign of achievement for them is being able to hold their grandchildren, being able to take care of and see and care for their grandchildren. But look at it now. The lie was sold to them that, don't worry, when you have your grandchildren, you'll be okay. You see that you don't need anything in this life. But look at it. There's resentment. There's so much resentment in the conversation. She keeps on harping onto Wendy's head, and Wendy just stands there, and the look on her face, I swear, I don't know if she's the first daughter or something, but the look of her face as the eldest daughter, I can relate. I think a lot of Nigerian eldest daughters can relate. That look when you cannot say anything to your mom, when in your mind you feel she's rightfully, bashing you basically for not being grateful enough for her being a mother to you. Meanwhile, being a mother is a choice. The only person that gets to make a choice in this whole interaction between mother and child, or mother and daughter, is the mother. The child has no say. The child has no autonomy. The child has no freedom. The child has no independence. The child has no sovereignty. And you are told that when you become an adult, you'll be free of all of this. You finally find your voice. But the way Wendy, stands before her mother and has this mournful expression on her face, she's still a child. She's still a child. She has no voice. She has no autonomy. And I think the only way she wants to express her autonomy is to go to the other person that made her, that participated in her making. Even if he was just a sperm donor, like her mother rightfully said, because she can't find it, her mother will not give her permission to be her own person. So she will go and look for it in another person. She wants this. That is what validation is. You are looking for something outside of you to give you permission to be a human being, to exist in your own skin. And just thinking about it, I feel so much like tears in my throat, because all of this is just a big misunderstanding between mother and daughter. I feel like because of the suffering and the stress it takes to survive as a single mother in this system, anywhere in the world, it's not better in America. It is even worse in Nigeria, but it's not better in America, for single mothers. But this horror of trying to cope and survive with your child and make sure your child has the best life there is within the patriarchy as a single mother, it dehumanizes you. You cannot be a real person and still be able to meet the conditions required to survive as a single mother under the patriarchy. You cannot. It's not possible. And so you have to dehumanize yourself. You have to sacrifice your relationship with your children. You have to reject any form of their humanity, because it is much easier. Because when you dehumanize yourself, you have to dehumanize your children. Your children are now nothing more than what? Properties to you. Things that you have to protect. You have to protect, but still object, nonetheless. And so for Wendy to stand before her mother and be a human being and say, no, I want something, it challenges the entire worldview that Wendy's mom had to keep up for so long to survive. That is literally her armor. That was literally her armor, to survive this world. Let me keep my things close to me. I can't afford for my child to have a voice. I can't afford for them to, really explore their humanity, because it's expensive in this capitalist system. In this patriarchal capitalist system, it is expensive to be a human being, to have your own voice from childhood, especially within Black households, African households. But there, Wendy is standing before her mom with this mournful look on her face, while her mom tells her to shut up. Her mom tells her to not speak, to not point at her, and her mom berates her attempts at autonomy. And yes, her mom is berating her attempt at autonomy, but as an eldest daughter, you still also have to keep the context that your mom is coming from in your mind. That's the horror of being socialized as a girl. You always have to keep the context of your mom's humanity in your mind while she behaves as a dictator to you, as a tyrant to you. because I don't know, this creator that made this video that I saw on TikTok, like I stitched, people saw it, she was really going all out on Wendy, and she was speaking on behalf of Wendy's mom, and I feel like that is just one side of the conversation. You cannot tell your daughter that, oh, your father is a deadbeat, your father is useless, he's this, is that, while also encouraging her to, without question, marry a man and have children and end up in the same position you thought your life would be better for. You understand that kind of thing? Like, you cannot tell your child, you are bringing up a child in this world and you want to protect the child, and that's the same thing that's the only opposition I had towards the mother in this book. This mother in this book, like Wendy's mother, berates men day in day out, says that men are evil, but she's not saying it from a place of, this kind of vindictive things, coming from a place of deep desire to protect her daughter from evil man. So as a woman existing in this world, you have to understand that the patriarchy is your enemy, okay? And the men, that most of them benefit from the patriarchy, so they have to uphold the patriarchy, are your enemy as well. Yep. I support it every step of the way. But that is not the only tool you can give. You have to give her a tool to survive as well, with the desire for relationship, the desire to fall in love. The socialization, never ever once in this book was Chimere's mother saying to her daughter that, oh, you have to get married, She never said that, but there's an implicit socialization upon girls, women all over the world, to get married, to aspire towards man, to aspire towards being with a man. This is my opinion. I'm not in their private life, but I'm sure she encouraged her daughter's relationships. She encouraged her daughter to get married. Even if she never did anything like that, the society would push women to marriage. You don't get certain sort of respect and self-actualization without being connected to a man in this world we live in, this patriarchal system we live in. So it's not enough to berate your ex-husband or her deadbeat father and tell her, oh, this man was so this and evil, that is why he's a piece of shit, because it is not exclusive to that man. That man is just performing exactly as he is programmed to perform, and so any man can perform that way. How do you now cope with your attraction to a man as a cis heteronormative woman? How do you cope? And I feel like that is where the feminist movement has to now start to put light on. We have to start shedding light on that. For straight women that want to be in relationships with people they are attracted to, which is cishet men, there have to be a way I don't want to say we, because I'm not in that group chat, but there has to be a way women are taught, women think up new theories, to exist with a man, because you cannot just tell women, of course you can tell men not to get married. The 4B movement is alive and well. I am the #1 champion of 4B movement. If the 4B movement is dead, I'm no longer here. I am front leading the charge for the 4B movement here all over the world. I don't fucking care about any fucking man here. But that is why it is a movement. Feminism is a movement. Okay, women make choices and say those choices are feminist, okay, and they don't know that what they're practicing is choice feminism, where you decide that your choices are feminist. There's no thought behind, there's no real basis of reality in it. I think there's a quote by Bell Hooks as well about this thing about evolving patriarchy, how the imperialist, colonialist patriarchy evolves, and how we must question it because it is normalized by the media, mainstream media, and the systems we live in. They normalize patriarchal violence. It is normalized. It is. I'll post the quote on the screen here. But anyways, So we have to question it. That's why we need to have conversations. Okay, I was talking about the relationship between Wendy and her mom. That relationship is too fraught with so much unresolved tension, things that both of them are not touching, but it's very obvious in their dialogue that we don't understand each other. We don't want to understand each other either, because I am right and Wendy, standing on the only point of autonomy she feels she has when she relates to her mother, feels she is right. Okay, so I feel like we need to question ourselves. I don't claim to have a solution, but I feel like we need to question ourselves. We need to have more discussions within the community. You know, we come up with new thought practice, new theories to challenge our desire to be with men, to challenge the socialization to aspire towards marriage. First of all, must you marry? As a woman, must you marry? You know, every day I ask myself that question, must I marry? And the answer is no. But I have to keep asking myself, because everywhere I turn, it tells me yes. In conversations, in my chat with friends, colleagues, in my movies I watch, books I read. This book, the stupid end, let me now tell you the ending. This book ends in such a way that I feel like I need to take back my time, you know, time wasted. This book ends in such a way that this stupid deadbeat man, she goes off to meet, just like Wendy, she goes off to meet this stupid fucking deadbeat father, and he tells her in a very cowardly voice that, I'm so sorry, I cannot accept you as my daughter. I can't be your father. Point blank period to her face. Oh, don't call me father, please. He's even polite about it, which is more devastating. And she's so like, her feelings are like a blow in her face. It's just like, and she has to go home with that rejection, double rejection. Let's think about the father. When he was rejected by her father, and she came back home and she's still defending the father to the father that she does not even know anything about, because he's imaginary. He's not the father she aspires towards. She's looking for identity. At this point in her life, you think she has it figured out. She's married, she has a husband, she's doing well for herself. No, she doesn't have any shit figured out. She doesn't know who she is. Okay, and her relationship with her mother is too fraught with so much unpaid debts. And as African women especially, we need to tell ourselves the truth. Our mother saddled us with this weights from when we were very young, that we owe them our existence, we owe them our lives, we owe them our realities. We are supposed to cater to them because they gave us life. You understand? And that's why we need to bring up this conversation that is very uncomfortable. At the end of the day, mom, you made this choice. I didn't have a say in this. And as a parent, as my parent, I don't think I need to pay you back for being a parent to me. That's literally why you chose. That is literally what comes with the choices that you made to have children, to have me. Why should I pay you back for choosing to protect me, for taking care of me? And it's not even paying back in monetary sense that you say, okay, because a lot of these daughters, and when it's not the only daughter, representation of women like this all over the African continent, or black women in diaspora, or black American women from different societies. Okay, it's not, a lot of women are very rich. They are taking care of their mothers, spending money on their mothers, bringing their mothers into places that their mothers are not even dreaming of, because of how much success these women have achieved to, have gotten to. But it's still never enough. It's never enough. And it will never be enough, because these women are trying to get back what they lost the moment they had a child. And then we have to now question, why did you have a child? I'm not saying why did you have me as kind of like to throw it in my mother's face, or to throw it in any mother's face out there, that why did you have children? No. There's a sinister reason you felt pushed to marry, to have children. There's a sinister reason, and you can find that reason in the patriarchy. You can find that reason in the capitalist consumerist system we exist in. They need more worker bees. When I say they, I mean the wealthy people that hold wealth, that have set up the system. They need worker bees. And how will they ensure that there will always be workers for their nonsense, bogus, imperialistic aims and goals? to conquer the entire earth? How are they sure that you continue to produce soldiers for their ill thought out wars? How? By socializing the producers of children to feel like they have no other purpose in this world than to have children. So your child will never ever be able to give you back that thing that you lost the moment you had them. Your selfhood, the self that you lose the moment you have children, your child will never be able to pay you back. And I need women to come to terms with that reality every time they aspire towards motherhood or marriage. Even you can't get it back from your child. Just give up on that dream. So that's why that's the part of evolution that needs to. I know that, I'm sure, because I'm reading some feminist works right now, From Margin to Center by Bell Hooks. So many voices are in that book. Yeah, so many quotes, and I'm trying to make a video on that book as well, concerning natalism, antinatalism, mothers and their decision to have children, and the women that are going child free. I want to make a video on all of that, but it's like a behemoth of a project, and I don't know if I'll be up to the task, but I want to just relate it to this thing I'm talking about here. Basically, those are the things I'm thinking about. You get, and that's why when I saw the picture, I was like, no, there's something I think I have something to say about this. I think I want to say something about this. Do you know what you are getting into when you sign the contract to be a mother? Do you know who you are signing the contract to? Have you read the terms and conditions? A lot of women have not read terms and conditions. They don't even read it. They feel like they can take it. Ill prepared for the factor of the man that is doing that thing with you. You are ill prepared for him just ghosting you. You are ill prepared for society collapsing around you. You are ill prepared for being fired from your job for being pregnant. You are ill prepared for the government passing a law that says children should not, their school fees should not be subsidized by the government. You are ill prepared for strikes. You are ill prepared for anything. If the system that is giving you contract to have children cannot now guarantee a future for these children, or guarantee your own future, why should you sign contracts like that? The desire to have children is not natural. They're normal to do. For women, as women, it is not natural for women to desire to have children. That is my own personal opinion. I don't know if it is radical of me, but I stand on that 10 toes. It is not natural for women to desire to have children. If you consider the implications of the whole process of birthing a child and being a mother, from the beginning of that child's conception to the end of your days being a mother, there's nothing natural about that. That desire does not come from you. And I feel like that is the bigger issue at large here with Wendy and her mom. You don't get to tell an adult to shut up like that. You don't shut an adult up like that. No matter what, that is an adult. That is an adult expressing themselves. You don't have to listen to them. You don't have to agree with them. But shutting them up because you are their mother, simply because you are their mother. That man needs to pay for his crimes against you. Yeah? You're not going to get vindication by twisting your daughter's misguided desire for validation into an attack on your person. Like, that sentence just makes sense. You're not going to get any sort of vindication from making your daughter out to be this subhuman that cannot use her brain to think for herself. Wendy needs to question where that desire is coming from. But you, as a mother, you also need to question why your daughter's desire for male validation terrifies you, when you literally allowed her to get married, have children, end up in the same position you were in when you thought things were secure for you. You didn't teach her anything against men. You only taught her and told her, filled her head with, oh, the man did me bad, which rightfully so, you should. The man did me bad, and he is also your father or a sperm donor for your conception. But here is the truth: all men are like that. All men are likely to behave in that way. You just need to arm yourselves with this sort of understanding. And here's our understanding: let's read this book together, let's go to therapy together, let's heal together, let's work on this together. Because it's also twisted and convoluted, and I don't know if I made any sense in this video, but I want the takeaways from this video to be that I'm not on the side of anybody in this video. I'm on the side of the greater movement, the greater issues that, you know, manifest itself in tiny ways here. Okay, the family system, what the hell is even that? Man, the lifespan of man from, you know, the Middle Ages or before, even like the first man on earth, they don't live, they lived in what, like they lived in groups. Why has that been whittled down from that time to now? Why has it been progressively whittled down to just a man, a woman, and children? And you call it nuclear family, and you call it the most respectable form of family. You call it you put laws, you enact laws that protect this structure of family. You enact legislations, you enact allowances in the economy, you know, for people that adhere to this structure. Don't you think that is a sign that it's of its unnaturalness? Because it cannot, if you were living in the elements, you know, you cannot survive, just the three of you. Let's just say it's one child. You can't survive you can't survive on this planet Earth with these three things, these three pillars. You can't. You need an entire structure. And family cannot do that. What you call family, that is why the children that are born out of that ugly or natural system are punished. Okay, punished by the society, and it is socialized into them to never ever find themselves where they are not inside such protection of a structure called family. Maybe it's why Wendy even got married, this desire to keep this structure intact, structure that she did not have. So it's very deep, it's very convoluted. The idea that family is the only way to exist, and family means a man, a woman, and child. Cis heteronormativity, we don't consider for gender non-conformity, the gender non-binary and all of that. We don't consider trans women, we don't consider trans men, we don't consider anything that is not cis heteronormative. We don't consider it. That's why we are still stuck where we are. And that's why we have movements like the TEF movement, co-opting feminist movement for their own thing. The only reason why TEFs exist is a sign of what feminism devolves into. Okay, when it does not allow itself to evolve. When the feminist movement, whatever feminist movement you adhere to, does not evolve, you cannot see yourself being open to new ideas. You just go back to TEF ideology, and TEF ideology is just a pipeline to patriarchal conservatism, the hegemony that patriarchy demands. That is what TEF is, and that is why it can succeed. That's why their movement is recognized more than the feminist movement. J.K. Rowling and her group making waves with their TEF ideologies, because it is like the side of the coin of patriarchy. Patriarchy there, the coin, the bottom face of the coin is TEF ideology. So as feminists, as a movement, we need to evolve, and I'm sure we are evolving. That's why this discussion, is coming up even. So I just want to say, when you see a relationship, you see a mother-daughter dynamic where the mother is, shutting down her daughter and denying her daughter's decisions, whether they are stupid, crazy decisions, denying it, like this is not a full-grown adult making this decision, or even a human being making this decision, and now telling her to listen to her instead, and not listen to her own voice. Well, that's not something to praise as right or feminist. Yes, Wendy is behaving in a way that kind of reeks of male validation seeking. But her mother her mother is stuck somewhere. Her mother is stuck somewhere on something. There is a plane her mother is stuck on, and that plane is kind of feeding into Wendy's desire to seek validation outside. She's not validated by her mother. Okay, you cannot call somebody that does not see you as your own autonomous person a source of validation. So she's seeking it from another person. She thought she'd find it in her husband. Maybe her husband is not giving her that new validation, so she's looking it for what? Her father. Wendy is seeking male validation, but her mother is not. Her mother is not right in this situation. There's nothing right about the mother. Anyway, that's my thoughts, my opinions about the whole thing. Let me know your thoughts. Let me see. I know a lot of people might disagree. I will definitely disagree with my feelings about Wendy's mom, yeah. But I guess that's my own truth. That's my own truth, and I don't know. If you have a different kind of feeling about it, you can let me know in the comments, and we can have a discussion about it too. Or basically, that's where I stand on this kind of conversations. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Yeah, subscribe, like, and bye bye.